Right. So in summary, let's just briefly discuss what we did in this chapter. We did a lot. We did a lot, as you can see. So in this chapter, we first learned how we revised how text is generated. And then we started introducing things like loss around how to evaluate the text. We talked about cross entropy and perplexity. And perplexity. Those are the ones that we are using. And after doing that, we added them to our training function, where we trained the model on that verdict, the verdict.txt. It was not doing well because the verdict.txt is a small document, so it wasn't really trained perfectly. And then we 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 are like, okay, even though we are not rich to really train this GPT-2 model, it's too heavy for us to train, and we do not have the data to train it, and we don't have the time. So, okay, cool. We are happy with that, whatever we had at that time. And we introduced text generation strategies that are slightly different. We talked about temperature, temperature scaling. We spoke about probabilistic one using multinomial. We spoke about top K. And we put this together into a generate function. We put this into a generate function. And after that, we then said, okay, what even though our model was terrible, let's learn how to load and save it. And we used our saving of checkpoints. Checkpoints. And after that, we said, okay, we are putting that on the side because we are fortunate that OpenAI open sourced its weights. So let's just replicate what OpenAI had in its weights and create a new GPT model. When we create a new GPT model, let's make sure that its architecture aligns to what OpenAI had. That's why we introduced like bias and all of that, although the bias is no longer there. So I would imagine if OpenAI releases the GPT-3 model, open source is that one and its weights, probably they're going to get rid of this bias that we introduced. But for now, we had to work with it. So we make sure that our architecture is the same, and then from there, we then started getting each parameter replacing the parameter that was there in this vanilla one, because this vanilla one had randomly generated the weights. So we now started replacing. Oh, we are doing positional embeddings. Okay, let me get positional embeddings from OpenAI. Let's replace what we have because what we have was randomly initiated. Oh, token embeddings. Let me replace you. No, KQV. You have KQV here now in your multi-head attention. No, let me get the KQV from OpenAI's ones and replace those ones that we have. All of that stuff. That's what we did. And then now, so at the end of our model, we had a very brilliant GPT model that is an exact replica of what OpenAI open sourced. So in the next chapter, we are going to use this GPT model that is like OpenAI's one to learn about fine tuning. So I hope you join me in the next chapter because we are almost done with this course. And it's an exciting time now when we're doing fine tuning to see how then to change this model. So this is now a generalist model. It's just so general. What is it general? It is good at next word prediction. But if we ask it to do something like, is this email spam? It might not really perform well because it hasn't been fine-tuned to do that classification. Or if we ask it to follow an instruction, it might not do very well because it has not been fine-tuned to follow instructions. It is just good at generating next words, next words, next word. So if we give it a starting starting context like every morning I wake up, it's going to generate maybe I wake up to make my bed, blah, 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 depending on your max new tokens. You can say max new tokens that I want. Maybe you want max new tokens to be 1,000. Maybe you describe your day. I wake up, make my bed, and then I take a shower. I make breakfast, and then I go to the train and I go to work, blah, blah, blah. It's now writing text that is coherent. So play around with that file that you have. Play around with max tokens. See now your GPT model from OpenAI. Because in the next chapter, we are going to pick up that GPT model. We are going to sort of forget everything that we did. We are not going to be worrying about all attention mechanisms and all of now we are our model is now working. We're not going to worry about those. We're now taking it forward. So let's see how we're going to do that in the next chapter.